CNN tonight, 10 Eastern.
Today's most important person you don't know has his fingers on two of the hottest hot-button issues in the country. He's Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli. He just ruled that Virginia law allows officers to check the immigration status of anyone they stop or arrest. That's pretty close to what Arizona was trying to do by passing its controversial immigration law. Well, if that's not enough, Cuccinelli's also taking on the Obama administration over health care reform, suing to block the health care law. Today, a federal judge decided that lawsuit can go forward. So it's no wonder he's lined up to speak at Virginia's first ever Tea Party convention this fall. Cuccinelli was elected Attorney General last November. He was in Virginia's state Senate before that and a practicing attorney before that. And Cuccinelli, a little factoid, didn't quite marry the girl next door. His future wife actually lived 3 doors down. That's kind of cute. Joining us now are his Republican strategist Ron Bonjean and former DNC official Moses Mercado. Thanks to both of you for being here. Ron, I'm going to ask you first because he's from your party. Sure. Cuccinelli, is he just ambitious or does he have a serious axe to grind with the Obama administration?
Well, he's clearly a rising Republican star. I mean, that's a strong double play that you just described. I mean, both healthcare and immigration are hot topics this year, especially in November, and I think he's making all the right moves for rising up the ranks. There's nothing wrong with focusing on the right policies and also being ambitious.
Do you think that this is a productive way to govern, or is this about making headlines?
Well, I think it's a little bit about making headlines. I mean, I agree if you're going to stop everyone and everyone has to show their citizenship. I don't disagree with that. I go to the airport when I've traveled and everybody in line, whether you're black, brown, green, yellow, everybody shows their ID. I have a problem if it's only highlighting some folks. So I applaud him if he's doing it, but I think it's just politics.
He's playing politics.
Yeah,
well, we'll still see.
A few months away from the election.
We have yet to see if that immigration policy is allowed to be implemented in Virginia. No doubt there will be a lawsuit challenging it. We can guess. Okay, let's take a look at some of the other stories on my radar. In his speech today to the disabled American veterans, President Obama warned that we have not seen the end of America's sacrifice in Iraq. But he also pointed out that by the end of this month, more than 90,000 U.S. troops will have come home. Listen.
And I made it clear that by August 31st, 2010, America's combat mission in Iraq would end. And that is exactly what we are doing, as promised and on schedule.
Ron, I covered him on the campaign. He did promise that, and he's on schedule. So is it fair for President Obama to take credit for this troop return?
Well, what it really shows is the difference between campaigning and governing. When he was campaigning, he was largely against the Iraq war. When he was governing, now he's supporting it, and he's supporting the troops in the mission. And it's one that largely Bush funded. And when he was campaigning, he was working to defund it. So he's trying to get best of both worlds here.
Is he taking credit for something that George Bush did with the surge?
Well, I think he's doing what he went out there and made sure that we messed this war up. We should have never been there. Let's go back, and people kind of forget that part, that we should have never been in Iraq. We kind of moved away from the real issue, which was Afghanistan, and we have been out there, and I think it's right for him to take credit for what we've been doing the last 2 years.
And for bringing troops home. Okay, let's move on. This one may fall in the you don't say category. This has to do with financial regulatory reform, and the big winner of Wall Street reform is lobbyists. Financial firms have doled out $251 million so far this year as Congress hammered out new laws for the financial industry. According to this, that's according to the Center for Responsive Politics. $251 million spent on this for just lobbyists, Moses. Are the rich just getting richer?
Well, I don't think the rich are just getting richer. I think everyone has a right to petition the government, and whether you're a company or an individual, and that's part of our system. I think the economy's bad right now, so people want to sort of gravitate, the press and everybody, to say, wow, somebody's making out for something, they paid this amount of money. I think that's our former system.
Ron, when I was covering the financial reform bill, people were referring to the staffers writing the bill and the lobbyists as the blob. So I go up on the Hill and they're like, the blob's working on it. Is there a problem of staffers and lobbyists just working too closely together in this town?
Well, this was a very confusing bill, so staffers often had to rely on lobbyists in order to understand it. I still don't quite understand it. And what a shocker, all that money being spent on something that's going to regulate Wall Street. And now the second phase of the battle is about to begin, and that's the regulatory phase, the implementation of this law.
You think some money will be spent?
Oh, yeah.
As they write the rules?
I don't think it's over yet.
I think you're right. All right. Moving on to a story we've been covering quite a bit, controversial conservative activist Andrew Breitbart. He is being re-invited to a rescheduled RNC Big Donor fundraiser next month. Now, Breitbart, you may remember, made headlines for his involvement in circulating a misleading video of then USDA official Shirley Sherrod commenting on race. All right, Breitbart was in the news, he was invited, he was disinvited, now invited again. Why did your party change its mind, Ron?
Well, I don't know. I haven't talked to the RNC about that, but I will say that there has been quite an issue with Sherrod, and it has gotten the Democratic Party off message. I mean, you know, she was fired by the Agricultural Secretary, and President Obama had to essentially apologize.
But do you think it's good for him to be associated with the RNC? Is he a little bit to the right of most Republicans, or not?
Well, I think, you know, whatever meeting that is, it's probably open to a lot of people, and a lot of people are invited to participate, probably not just him, so they're, you know, people are invited to express themselves.
Are you, as a Democrat, happy to see Breitbart doing RNC fundraisers?
I think it is. It just shows where they are right now. They're trying to motivate the base. We're about 2 months away from the election, so this is all about motivate the base, and he obviously motivates their right-wing base.
Okay. Okay, this is a much lighter topic, but one that boggled my mind. At least one New York town is turning to Big Brother as a way to make up lost revenue. It's called Riverhead, New York, and they are using Google Earth to find swimming pools that don't have the proper permits. According to the Associated Press, so far they've collected $75,000 in fees. If your city can do this, I can't imagine what the condo board could do to you if they check Google Earth and see you've planted the wrong tree. Or is this Big Brother gone awry?
Yeah, I got a feeling this is going to be settled at the Supreme Court.
You think so?
That people are going to be pretty ticked off. You know, people feel that any way the government can get in their pocketbooks, you know, this is one of those big issues. And you know, I don't think it's going to stand. I don't think it's right.
All right. And there's a lot of frustration that government's in our lives too much. Are elected officials sort of pushing it too far?
Well, I think it goes back to the economy. They're trying to find revenue. Right. We heard it here with the traffic sort of stops and that everybody's watching us. But you know, at the end of the day, what's monitored gets done. So I think that's what cities are starting to find.
So you're for Google Earthing all of us. Okay, don't go anywhere. Coming up next, one ad that really hits below the belt, literally.
How can rice production in India affect wheat output in the U.S., the shipping industry in Norway, and the rubber industry in South America? At T. Rowe Price, we understand the connections of a complex global economy. It's just one reason 75% of our mutual funds beat their 10-year Lipper average. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence. Request a prospectus or summary prospectus with investment objectives, risks, fees, expenses, and other information to read.